Hello and welcome to Assemblies of the World with me, Anna Isabel, and my guest today is Nick Kithchen. Hello, Nick.
Hi, Anna.
Now, Nick, you are a member of the Community Light Brigade, and I think it's a really wonderful um, project endeavor. What is it?
Okay, so Community Light Brigade, um, made up of members of the community assemblies that hold high vibration and compassion for others, which I think we all need, and we are there to really help others and guide other members of the community assemblies to help them gain more higher spiritual frequencies, better health, and just to really help them be what they can be. So it's not a task for us. It's just a being. We're just there trying to guide and help people and to give protection at the same time. Obviously there are things that sometimes happen that we need protecting from.
Okay, so this is I think a very exciting project, if I can put it like that. But not everyone in the community assemblies knows about it. And so you've mentioned several things there. And I'm wanting to work out, is this a kind of pastoral care that members are offering to other members? So by that, I mean, are you providing any kind of counseling, or is it just a cup of tea and comfort, or are you helping people with meditation? What exactly are you doing?
Well, I think there's many things. Really help support is probably one of the big things. Um, Connection with others, and the help that comes from it is obviously a very important part. And this is one of the things that we build upon, as in the Aurora network, as in part of the connection process, but really help and advice, on health matters, and to help to promote a good well-being in people, so that really, so they understand that they're not alone in things, and sort of promoting I don't know, a wave of happiness, really. I suppose that can help to comfort people, and ongoing from that, it will help to promote good health in people, good spirits, the to lift a person's spirit would go on to lift their health as well.
So let's imagine that I belong to a family and we're in crisis. We have we're struggling to make ends meet. Maybe the children might be challenging. The behavior of the children might be challenging. We're suffering from a number of different issues. How can you help my family? How can you help me and my family?
Um, well, comfort and compassion, I think, is probably the first thing. So you would help them with many things. So there would be advice on uh, how to probably get over certain things, and to connect with others that are probably in a better position to help with with certain matters like counselling and things like that. So people can be natural counsellors, but sometimes the qualifications are of people are where people seek, don't they? So really, first off, I think first port of call would be to help and to see where you can help, and then guide them to get to seek a certain, probably a qualified therapist or something like that, if that's what's needed. But I think people who are going through problems, all they really need to start off is a bit of comfort and somebody that will listen, and to take in, not necessarily take on their troubles, but take in their troubles, and then like a guiding hand, or and a kind heart to help them get through it. So it's giving them support.
Okay, so that's wonderful. What I'm understanding is that it's about, first and foremost, listening
Absolutely.
and being able to listen with compassion and empathy, so that people know that they don't have to be alone and that they don't have to be isolated. Secondly, it's about assessing the needs of the person, and then if they would benefit from some counseling, pointing them in that direction.
Yeah.
If they need some help in understanding how to navigate the system in terms of understanding that perhaps there are certain bills that may not need to be paid in the way that they think they need to pay them, if we can put it like that.
Yeah.
They can get some advice on that, so that would be helpful on the financial front as well. And now we come to this business about frequency, because on the one hand, what you're talking about is very practical, hands-on, but the other bit sounds all a bit, well, let's use the word woo-woo, right?
Yes.
So what are you doing? Because it almost sounds like it could be cult-like, and yet I know that that's not the case. So what is it that you're actually doing?
It's so when I suppose you're thinking of things that are outside of the physical, so outside of yourself. So with your compassion, love, attention, your mind focuses on something. So that really, in essence, is where your life force is at that point, isn't it? So with maybe focusing on some of the bad things that are going on in the world. I mean, you could back this up with the scientific studies. There's been many, and I suppose using one to explain it, where I think this was in Liverpool, where many people got together and they focused through meditation and thought to focus on the crime rate, and within that week the crime rate came down. And this has been repeated in many places around the world. So it goes on thought and intent. So groups of people come together, they use their thought and intent to change their environment. So you can do that individually or collectively, but it also needs the compassion to to fire that. So, you know, you can do it mechanically, but if it hasn't got your soul and your heart behind it, then it doesn't have the essence and power to probably move it forward.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that this is, above all, a spiritual endeavor.
Yeah.
From the point of view that you are aware, as I am, and many people are, that the time that we're living in, it's, you know, the way out of any darkness is light.
Yeah.
We always need light. And we know that we are energy. This is measurable. We know that we emit energy. And so the more energy or light, or let's just say the higher our frequency, the easier it becomes to banish darkness.
Yeah.
So as a group, are you getting together and meditating, sending out positive energy? Is that part of what you do?
We do have group meditation, and that is through some of the members of the Light Brigade do attend that. And this is really sending positive thoughts and vibrations out into the world to affect change, and it all helps. I mean, okay, we're one group, but there is many groups of people around the world doing the same thing, and science has proved it that the effects are measurable. That I think the Heart Mind Institute ran one on heart-centered meditation that proved that it actually altered the frequencies of the earth. I mean, this is not just the frequencies of people, but of course, because it would affect that as well. So everything's measurable. It works, and with the things that are going on, and certainly in the last 3 years, that of lots and lots of information being put out and people focusing on some less positive information, which fragments people's attention and then allows them to focus on maybe some of the unpositive things, then has to really have an effect on our world and the people in it, and not just the people, the animals and plants affected as well.
Absolutely. We know that the fear that has been floating around is palpable, and that is the way certain people like it, because it means that, and in fact, you know, I can recall in late 2020 that a group of eminent psychologists wrote in protest to the government over using fear as a tactic to manipulate the public. So there's a lot that's been going on, and we know since then, I mean, only this year we found out there was quite a lot that was revealed about the so-called nudge unit, etc., where it was very clear that they were using fear to manipulate the public. And hey, there's the infamous WhatsApp messages that were happily released, so that we actually had the health minister of the time writing, saying, well, to say that there was going to be the lockdown over Christmas, and when somebody pointed out to him that this wasn't going to be very popular, he said, "We'll just scare the pants off them."
Yeah.
And the very next day, a supposed new variant was announced. So we know that fear is used, and the reason fear is used is because when people are afraid, they are more vulnerable, and the subconscious is more open to receiving solutions from people who appear to know what they're talking about. So this is a very psychological, it's a psychological weapon.
Yeah.
So, and one of the unhappy effects of this, aside from making people more pliable, is that their actual energy becomes depleted, the frequency drops. So when you talk about getting together and sending positive thoughts into the world, it's really about clearing that fog of fear, isn't it?
It is, and it's lifting. I mean, I always think that if you lift enough hearts, it will. Well, it'll have more ability to change things. It's so, you know, the psychological. I've had a few conversations, you know, where people say, "Oh, it's spiritual stuff," you know, it's all. They use a certain word, but I'm not going to repeat it. But yeah, what they don't probably see is that they'll see the physical thing, you know, the psychological attack. They'll say, all right, okay, you know, as you've explained, but they don't see the ramifications that are going further of the attack on people's, you know, minds and hearts. So you know, it's lowering them down, which is then takes a lot of people out of the game, you know. So if we were all happy, if this was a happy world, we wouldn't have no problem. But you know, they're throwing in all this and unpositive stuff, and we're being diddled out of things. It's just, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we can see it, can't we?
you know, it's very simple. If people think that what we are talking don't know what we're talking about in terms of energy and frequency, etc., that's because this is a facet of our existence,
Yeah.
which has been kept from us in terms of our education. Religion was kind of halfway there, but it was using it again to manipulate and control. But you know, I'll tell you something. I recently, well, earlier this year, I did an interview for one of my other channels about astrology, in which I interviewed an astrologer and we were discussing the use of astrology being widespread in Parliament. Okay, so your MPs, many of them, know about astrology and use astrologers. And we're not necessarily talking about backbenchers here. We're talking about people in the higher positions
Yeah.
of government who are using it. So all this stuff that's supposedly woo-woo, there are people who are in the know, if I can put it like that.
Yeah.
And they quite like it, and they would quite like it if we did not know. Because as long as we don't know, we don't really understand our own power and who we are.
Yeah.
So pay attention. We need to pay attention to every aspect of our being. And when you are, as part of your work with the Community Light Brigade, going in and helping people on a practical level, you are raising spirits and you're doing something really important. You're providing hope. And the minute that happens, there's an up in the frequency.
Yeah.
So we are all members of the Community Light Brigade,
Yeah.
so to speak, because we all have the power to help lift spirits, and we all have the power to smile and give comfort and be empathic. But you are doing it in a very organized way. And that gladdens my heart, if I can put it like that. I think it's quite fitting. So you're getting together to help at various times to help raise the energy of the world around you. Fantastic. You're giving practical help to people around you. You mentioned the Aurora Network. What is that?
The Aurora Network is just really the connectivity that we have as members in the community assemblies and in the Light Brigade. So it's just a connective network of knowledge and help, and so it forms a very, very strong connected web of people. So I think John coined the term Aurora Network, and it has stuck. It feels definitely right. It's just, we're just going to be the Aurora Network now.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, it's the threads that connect everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, that's lovely. So who can join?
Anyone can join. Anybody. It doesn't matter what job you do, how old you are, what your political alignment is. Really, anybody who wants a difference in their life, I think, and a difference in the world that we live in. And the last 3 years has probably brought it home to many people. I think that people listening to this will know what I'm saying. The last 3 years has woken a lot of people. There's still many out there that can't quite see maybe the way others can see things, but it doesn't matter if you're spiritually aligned, just that you want change or want something better. You have to see it for yourself, of course. This is, nobody can, say you have to do this or have to do that, because we're all guided by free will. We're all guided by natural law. And we just want a better world to live in for ourselves, for our children, for the people that come after us when we've long since gone, and just a kinder place to live and a better place to live. So that really includes anybody who wants to see that
Intention. So listening to you, what came to mind was this thought that if we do want a better world, it begins with us.
Absolutely.
And what I feel listening to you is that you are a group of people who have decided that where your proverbial neighbor is in trouble, you will do the neighborly thing and reach out a helping hand to give whatever support they need.
Yeah.
So that's something that many people already are doing all the time, because there's so many wonderfully kind and helpful and compassionate people out there. What you're doing is you've come together as a group and you've said, okay, so we're going to do this. So I guess I have a couple of practical questions. The first is, do people have to be geographically in the same location, or can support be given online? Because this is a big country, and I know that although we have many assembly groups, not every part of the country has an assembly that people could turn to. So how does it work?
Well, a community assembly is formed generally by people in the same area. So you can have it by county and by town. I mean, if you had 3 people in the same house, you can have a community assembly in that house. but support can be offered online. It could be offered by phone. So if somebody is isolated at the other end of the country and they may not have generally the members around them, or members, they may have joined in a part of the country that it's just them at that time. So if I take it back to when I joined, and I joined the community assemblies after taking the peacekeeper course, and for me, I was, as far as I knew, I was the only one in Lincolnshire. I spoke to John. I needed to hear from John what the community assemblies were about, so I could get it in here that this is what I wanted to do. Within 10 minutes after talking to John, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is absolutely where I want to be. He sent me a list of emails. I sent emails out and talked to two other people that wanted to become facilitators, and we formed Lincolnshire. I didn't know they existed before I joined. So this is the web and phone calls that produce the connections. And now we meet up regularly, and we're forming new members. We formed a little town here in Lincolnshire, Long Sutton, and Grantham as well as formed. So, but this is how it starts off. It starts with one, and then more, and then you just connect with the people by phone, by email, or John puts you in touch with them, and it's fantastic. I love it. I really can't get enough of it. It really fills my heart with so much joy and love and gladness. I know I may be coming across quite sort of in flowery terms, but it does. And I know this is where I want to be and what I want to do.
Because what this is really about is bringing people together, which is the antidote to the divisive tactics that are being used against people. So rather than dividing, this is about bringing people together. And so the Community Light Brigade exists right across the country for anyone, because we have phones, we have computers, and if you are alone somewhere and you feel like you need some help, this is a good place to start. Now, what about money? Because you talked about counseling and helping sometimes to guide people to counseling. That costs money, and not everyone can afford it. So what happens there?
Right, we do have an emergency fund for people that need like health issues, and of course counselling would come under that. So I mean, we're driven by donations in the community assembly. So we have the things that the peacekeeping service, we have the community health initiative, and we have the emergency fund in place for people that can't afford to pay certain practitioners that we have in the community health program or community health initiative. So that help is there. However, members gladly give their time freely, and we're volunteers, really. I mean, apart from their, like as a practitioner, it is their job. But as a member, we're all volunteers. We don't get the donations. The community assemblies themselves get the donations to pay, for the emergency fund, the peacekeeping service, because the uniforms cost money, the training does cost money. So putting certain things in place do require a certain amount of donation. So yeah, to answer your question then, is really members' time is pretty much free.
Yeah.
To reach
So,
out to somebody.
so the emergency fund is there
Yes.
in cases where external expertise is required to
Yeah.
help people. Wonderful. Okay. So on that note, I think it's a good time to remind viewers of a few things. Firstly, if you haven't joined and this sounds like a group of people you'd like to keep company with, please join. There will be a link in the description box for you. And if you are a member and you are interested in volunteering to become part of the Light Brigade, I'm sure that you can find out how to do that by contacting John or you, and
Yep.
we can put information in the description box for that. And then you've mentioned the emergency fund, which obviously could always use being topped up. So if you would care to make a donation, that would be very, very helpful indeed. So those are three things. Information for those three things will be in the description box. Nick, thank you so much for explaining to us what this beautiful aspect of the Community Assemblies of the British Isles is all about.
Thank you very much, Anna, for having me on your show. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. I am hoping now this is a plea directly to facilitators who are doing amazing things right across the country. Please get in touch. I'd love to have you on as well. Tell the world the beautiful things that you're doing. Until next time, goodbye.